it's Reagan, and today I'm filming a long overdue video. I'm going to be talking about my intimidating TBR. If you don't know what a TBR is, it's the pile of all the unread books that one has. And I'm going to be talking about the books that are the scariest on said pile, and I'm doing a tag actually created by Lindsay Ray, which I'll leave linked down below, but let's just go ahead and get started. The first book is name a book that on your TBR pile that you haven't been able to finish. For this, I'm going with Kingdom of Little Wounds by Susan Cockle. I am almost 200 pages into this book. I have tried to finish this book in countless times. I have not been able to do it. It's one of those weird historical fiction, odd YA novels. It's good, but for whatever reason it cannot capture my attention, and I want to read it so badly, and yet I find myself unable to. Number 2, a book that you just haven't had the time to read. This I'm going with Layered Dreams by Libba Bray. I have owned this book for a while. I was anticipating this book for a while, but I think it's because it's a sequel to a series that I read years ago, and also it's very large that I've been putting this off. However, I've been hanging on to it because I know I'm going to really like it, but I have not been putting in the dedicated amount of time to finish this book, so here it sits continuously. All the books in this video are like stupidly long pretty much. Name a book you haven't read because it's a sequel. This one makes me really sad, and I'm going with The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson. This is the sequel to The Kiss of Deception, which I read 2 summers ago and I really liked, and this came out last summer and I was so highly anticipating it, but I haven't read it yet. I think I have been putting this off because I don't particularly want to have to wait a super long time for the 3rd novel to come out. This book is really great. Its shtick was, at least for the first book, there was a runaway princess and there was a prince who she was supposed to marry who's after her, as well as an assassin who's trying to kill her. You have all of their perspectives, but you don't know who the prince and who the assassin is. Name a book you haven't read because it's brand new. I'm going with A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab, the sequel to, of course, A Darker Shade of Magic. I literally just got this like a week and a half ago, so I haven't read it yet. And because of that, I don't really feel too bad about it. So, moving along. Name a book on your TBR pile by an author you've read previously and you didn't really like their books. For this, I'm going with Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I read her Grisa trilogy and honestly didn't really like it that much, but I've heard such fantastic things about this YA fantasy spin-off that I don't think I'm gonna have a problem enjoying this, as it follows a heist, and really, what more does one need in a fantasy story? Name a book on your TBR pile that you're just not in the mood to read. I'm gonna go with The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. I've read another book by David Mitchell, and I thought it was just okay, and I've had this book for years, and I have a feeling that I'm really gonna like it, but I just have not been in the mood, or at least recently, to read really heavy literary fiction. I've just kind of been wanting to read fantasy adventures, and that's pretty much it. So I just haven't been in the mood for this guy, but I want to read it. I just don't know when it's gonna happen. Book that's on your TBR pile that you haven't read because it's humongous. For this, I'm going with The Luminaries by Eleanor Canton. This book is like freaking giant. Like, I can't even deal with how big this novel is, and I don't even really know what it's about. I know it's set in New Zealand and that the chapters follow the phases of the moon. They get progressively shorter as the novel goes on, which is really cool, but that's really all I know. Well, I also know that it's giant. Obviously, this has fantastic reviews. It was nominated for the Man Booker. Actually, it won the Man Booker in 2013. So that's a great sign for a good book, but it's scary. Name a book on your TBR pile that you haven't read and that you bought because of its cover but subsequently has gotten kind of bad reviews. I'm going with Secret by Lindsay Smith. I bought this for the cover and also just the fact that it's set in Russia. Basically, that's kind of an auto-buy thing for me. But this kind of has like okay reviews. Some people really like it, some people really don't. I'm a little nervous about this because I'm very particular about Russian history influences, because if they're not accurately portrayed, I hate it pretty much immediately. So I've been putting this guy off for fear that I'm just gonna hate it. Who knows? I don't. And the last question is, name the book on your TBR pile that you find the most intimidating. And for me, that book is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I've literally heard countless amazing things about this book. I don't know anyone, well, I know very few people who have read this and did not love it. However, it's just so daunting, not only because of its size, but because of its emotional, gravity. Apparently this is gonna ruin me, and I just don't know if I'm emotionally stable to handle this novel, so I've been putting it off end off. But I really do want to read it this year. It's on my list to read. I just don't know quite when that will be. But it's gonna happen. So you heard it here, second or third. I've talked about this a lot. Alrighty guys, those are the most intimidating books on my TBR pile at the moment. Let me know down below some books you've been putting off because you're scared to read them. I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye!